Yeah, I just had time to calm down now, and yeah, it's just one of those things. Ebony, how you doing, man? How is everything? What's going on?
Everything's fine. I'm still reeling at today, and we can blame two people for that: Stuart Atwell and Granit Xhaka, but
Yeah,
particularly Stuart Atwell, who should, in my opinion, never ever officiate at another game again.
I mean, there's a bunch of them, isn't there? There's a lot of referees that have just come to the Emirates and die
Mm.
because, and I've seen it all too many times. I mean, I remember, I think it was three weeks ago or so, and I was reporting on the game. I can't remember who the game was. I think it was the one before West Ham, and I had recorded that the referee had given 7 yellow cards out to Arsenal players,
Mm.
and um, and not given any yellow cards to the other team. Let me look this up because I'm trying to remember who it is. Bertram, how you doing, bro?
What's up, Bertram?
Hey Ebony, hey Paul, I'm doing well. How you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, bro. I'm just trying to remember which team it was. Which team?
You just take your pick, really.
And it was so bad because we were sitting there counting. And in fact, the game after that, when we talk about the West Ham game as well, what happened in the West Ham game was we had committed 11 fouls and got 5 yellow cards. And West Ham had committed 15 fouls and not even had a booking yet. I believe it was the West Ham. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it was one of those games. Ebony Bertram, you know exactly what we're talking about because it was a talking point in one of our player ratings. The fact that this officiating is just happening not every single week, but it's just so bad. I mean, and one of the guys who I was doing an interview with, I'm going to publish my game vlog after this. And one of the guys I was talking to at the Emirates actually was a Liverpool fan. And he said to me, he said, Apollo, he goes, I follow your channel. But he said, the one thing I have to say is, this is the reason why England don't have any referees at the World Cups or the Euros. Because it's so bad, the level here. And, I need to talk to Tony, Bertram, because Tony and Bertram watch a lot of international football. And surely the officiating isn't as bad as this, what we're seeing on a weekly basis. Bertram.
I'm gonna change the narrative because I watch AFTV. I watch a lot of football. Too much football for my.
Yeah, I don't watch too much AFTV.
I watch a lot of different, not a lot of different channels, but I watch AFTV. I do actually, and I listen to different public with pundits in the talk sport. I want to change the narrative though because I think there's a theme around the officiating, and yeah, the officials weren't that great, but the officials didn't pull silver back. He didn't pull silver back. And it's hard not to give that penalty. Now, I agree that Odergaard was a penalty. I watched the Watford game. I think Lloris caught the player. Who was it? He caught the forward, and it should have been penalty also. We're going to have human beings making mistakes. I want to focus more on – I actually want to focus more on our performance, frankly, because I'm disappointed we lost.
I thought the performance was
over the moon in terms of the direction of travel. So forget about whether we win or not. The question is, can we compete with the big boys? Because we haven't beaten any of them this season.
Yeah.
And frankly, we were the better team. I know Pep and his team are whining about they have to play how many games. Frankly, Grealish and Foden played the previous game. They didn't play this game. There are some people repeated, like Cancelo and others repeated games. They normally play anyway. But I thought our team, our very young team, I think as I said when Michelle asked the question about, to be pleased about that the future looks bright. The future looks really bright. So I am less focused on the referee because that's going to happen. Probably be too much for us. Mm-hmm. I thought Xhaka was stupid. I thought Gabriel was beyond stupid. Now, the first time he had done it with Theo Walcott, another game where he got a yellow and still held the player back, which makes no sense. And you're begging for a yellow when you're a defender and the person is going through. You're going to give up a yellow, which then means it's a red with 2 yellows, right? But I'm less focused on. Look, I was here watching my nephew. He and I had battle about Arsenal because he wants us to lose. And I was all happy in the first half. And I was happy with not just with the goal that we scored, but more with the performance. City did nothing in the game.
Yeah. Do you know why that was? Well, we're going to come to it later. Me and you are probably going to have two different analyses, but before you give yours, I'll give mine. The Liverpool teams like Liverpool and Manchester City, when they're playing lower, less efficient teams on the ball, they are opportunists. They know that they can press the living daylights out of these teams and force errors and not pay for it at the back. Now, you can't do that against a PSG or a Bayern Munich or a well-oiled drill team on a European level. And some teams in the Premiership, you also can't do that, like against West Ham, a Chelsea, or a team like that. But the reason why we keep seeing these 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 results is because Arsenal are not a very good ball possession team. They can be forced into errors, and the errors amounts to many goals forced by errors with teams who are immaculate in their transitional play and sort of taken advantage of a team's inability to keep the ball. Now, Arsenal, how many times? I mean, we look at the Liverpool game, and that is a prime example this season. We lost 4-0. Okay, I'll take that on the chin. But what I will not discount is the fact that after 40 minutes, we held our own. It was a mistake on the goal, then the second goal Tavares gave away from inside the box, and it all capitulated from there. But those were early signs, Bertrand, that this team can compete. Now, all Arteta had to do today was look at that and get the tactics right and give the team a shape that would work. What I saw today, Bertrand, was the team, and I've talked about this for weeks. You've heard me every week talk about the inability of the two midfielders in transitional play to move the ball quickly. I sit there in the stadium, I count how many touches they have of the ball. And I've talked about in weeks, Artie has had 2 or 3 touches. Jacques has had 4 or 5 touches. Today, and I've said Odergaard has had 1 or 2. And that's why Odegaard has been so efficient. He doesn't keep the ball long enough to lose it. He gets it, moves it on, bang. It's so quick. Today, I saw Xhaka and Partey play 1-2 touch football. And Man City had nothing to go on. They had no chances. Arsenal wasn't giving them any chances to make it easy for them. And when the second half came, I said to Ebony, who was sitting next to me in the stadium, I said, you know what, Ebony? Man City, for the first time in years, are going to have to find a way to beat Arsenal their way, not our way. Normally, they've sat on the sidelines, waited for us to be clumsy with the ball, and then they've picked us off. Today, they didn't do that because we was quick in transition, we was fast, we was moving the ball quickly, and quite frankly, they had no plan because that has been their plan for so long. What's your thoughts, Bertrand?
So the most important thing was we wanted to play them. I think people realize that. We were dying to play them. It was very obvious from the outset. This team want to test themselves. They want to play them. And when you're not afraid of someone, it changes dynamics about how you play. So we wanted to play them. Secondly, this is the best I've seen Partey and Xhaka play together. If you look at the goal, that one-time pass that Xhaka made, which killed that midfield, and the ball then played out wide, was clear that when you have a midfield, because that's where City controls the game in their midfield, if you can match them in the midfield, you have a chance. And they were trying to press us. And sometimes Saka didn't have any place to go with the ball. So it'd be very difficult for him to move the ball. But then also, we do a better job now with this young team. They're better players. They can keep the ball better. Our counter-attacking can be devastating. When we score, they put fear in them. They realize they're in a game. And when they were attacking us, even though they had more ball possession, they were very ineffective ball possessions. So if you're not threatening me, because think about what did Gabriel and White have to do today? That's what's interesting. Throughout the game, were they under a lot of pressure? Even the time when Xhaka held back Silva, he was beating down the line. If you look in the box, we had about 5 or 6 players in the box. He didn't need to do that at all. He didn't need to hold him because even though it had been closer on goal, Gabriel was coming over to cover for him. So I do think there's a combination of factors. One is we were in their faces, so we were trying to press them and they're pressing us. It's like boxing. If somebody is always on the front foot and you counterpunch them, they have to start thinking about, how do I respond to these counterpunches? That's what was happening with us. They started the game pretty quickly, and we got into the game. And from then on, it was more us than them. So, but I was extremely pleased with the performance. I mean, that's the consensus, which is normally City just, they win 1-0 in the last game and look like they could have won 20-0. right? In this game, they didn't look like they were in the game for most of the game, even though they had more of the possession. And I was very disappointed how the goals got scored. The penalty was just bad decision by Xhaka, but that's Xhaka, and we have to replace him at some point. The second goal, the Gabriel situation was asinine. What he did to get the first yellow, and then the second yellow, which he got around with, he played Southampton with Theo, same thing. And thirdly, that goal, that's Rob Holding for you. Slow of foot, don't respond quick enough, don't get deep quick enough. The man shouldn't be, the ball was floated. There's no way that ball should have gotten behind him. I know it was a ricochet that scored, but he created a situation that evolved into that. And a part of what people don't understand is this. The Xhaka situation, right there wrongly, created the Gabriel situation, which then created what transpired. Xhaka doesn't get the give away the penalty. Gabriel is not in a conflict with the referee to get the first yellow. May have gotten a first yellow when he fouled Jesus, but that all sort of interconnected. So
yeah, it's a domino effect
in terms of the outcome, but I thought we played really well.
Yeah, it's a domino effect. It's like decay just going through the whole team when something sets off another, and they, and again that domino effect, you just can't get away from it. Welcome to the people who are joining us. Got 8-9 people at the moment on YouTube. Got 40 people on Twitter. What's going on Twitter Posse? And we've got 19 people on Facebook. What's going on, everybody?
That's a
Ebony, what's your thoughts on today's game?
For the first half, they were all over us. And you could see that they were just pinging the ball one touch. And then from the second half of the first half, we were all over them. And they had no response. And, and before the game started, I said that, Man City, they have a complete and utter immense pressing game. And we're going to have to match that. And we did. From the second half of the first half, and throughout the second half, and we matched them. They had no response. Sterling was in Tomiyasu's pocket. And we completely matched them. I just think that for the fact that we had a referee today, and I'm not saying this because we lost. Because we didn't deserve to lose today. It's just that the referee, the decisions that kept on going against us, the amount of fouls that they committed today, and not one yellow card. The only time I saw a yellow card given to them was when what's his name scored the winning goal.
That was right at the end of the game. I was sitting right next to you, and we looked over at the board. We saw 3 yellow cards and a red card.
Yeah,
and I was like, I turned around to Ebony and I said, how did they not even get a yellow in this game?
Exactly. They didn't get one yellow card apart from right at the end. And it's like, well, how many fouls they commit? And the referee today, he was their 12th player. And that was what annoyed me so much. And this is why I say, Stuart Atwell should not be officiating ever again, in my opinion.
But Apollo, what we haven't talked about enough, too, is about the Martinelli miss. That was an open goal.
I know.
Open goal. I mean, I could score it, even that.
Man City.
The only reason
down before the start of the
Ebony, he could have did anything except what he did.
Yeah,
anything.
I think the only reason why people are not chastising him is because he put in a great performance today. Aubameyang has been chastised for that because he has not put in great performances.
Yeah, but Xhaka played well apart from the hold.
I don't think Xhaka played well at all.
No, Xhaka played well.
I don't think he played well at all.
About Man City. No, Xhaka played. Don't say that. Xhaka played well.
I'm not saying anything.
We have to replace Xhaka, but Xhaka played. That goal we scored, that was Xhaka. You missed that. That one-time pass that split the middle of the field and get the ball. That was Xhaka. That quick pass he made was brilliant. And even though it was a short pass, split the midfield. The ball went out wide to Tierney, crossing the Saka goal.
Yeah,
and
see,
that's how you have to counter Man City with a quick passing, just like they do sometimes.
Yeah, see, the unsung hero for that goal was Odergaard, because he's the one that pulls 2 defenders away from Xhaka when he makes that run. And only me and the guy sitting next to me actually sort of correlated that. Odergaard does so many things that goes unspoken in this team. It is unbelievable. And I think today as well, Lacazette did a number of that. He did many times. You know, he wasn't as involved as he'd like to be, but his job was clearly to just drag the central of the midfield along with him to open up gaps for the younger players. And it's when you look at little things like that, it's so important. It's like gap play. I talk about gap play all the time. Today, the most impressive thing about Thomas Partey's play today, and Gabriel, even though he got booked, and Yasu, was the way they shut the gaps off. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne, what Partey did to Kevin De Bruyne today, I ain't seen nobody do to him all season.
Yeah, no, the most important thing about Partey's play was everything.
He completely shut him down.
I mean, everything in the game he did. It's
Kevin De Bruyne was like, see what?
Playing the ball quick, playing out wide, shut on the angles, closing the gaps. He was all over the place.
He was
the best player in the field.
Yeah, right. I agree. So before I go into player ratings, let's hear what this. Jesus, there's a lot of writing, G. But good to see you joining us again. He said, "Watch the highlights." Oh, so you didn't see the game live? Yeah, I wondered why I didn't hear from you in the chat. The penalty was a bit harsh, but Xhaka has himself to blame. Why would anybody pull down a shirt that's inside the box? But I do agree, as someone mentioned, Gabriel's red is to be blamed more than the penalty. No. What Bertram said, if it wasn't for that, Gabriel, we wouldn't have had a penalty, and then Gabriel wouldn't have been set off. So you can't say that. That doesn't make sense. I don't agree with that at all. If that penalty doesn't happen, Gabriel is still on the pitch, and actually Arsenal win the game. Or at worst, we come away with a point. So I can't.
They won the game. They weren't in the game. How many shots they had on target? 2. They both.
We nullified them, and they didn't have a plan B. They thought they could come in, do the same thing that they've done for the last 9 matches against us under Emery, under Wenger, and under Arteta's early days, and it didn't work. And now Pep's got a problem because he realizes it's so easy for Pep to go in and solve a problem with his ability to get the prime meat, the prime beef. He's not choosing from he's not ordering rump steak when he's at the restaurant. This man's getting filet. This man's getting, the finest steaks, millionaire steak. This guy's getting, he's getting ribeye when he goes to the restaurant because he's got the money to do it. So he can get the cream of the crop that are comfortable on the ball. In the first 25 minutes, when Man City had the rub of the green on the pitch, I turned around to Ebony and I said, look how our players were trying to tackle them, and time again, our red shirts were bouncing off blue shirts because the way how Man City players shield the ball so well, they're not afraid to invite a tackle on because they know they can either beat a man. Yeah, but they know they can either beat a man or they know that they're comfortable with the ball at their feet, not to be depossessed. And we saw it many, many times in the first half where we were bouncing off the place. We tried to put tackles in, but they were just shoving us off. And that just shows you the strength of the team. If 1 or 2 guys are like that, fair enough. But Man City has 6, 7, 8 guys on the pitch like that. And so to depossess them is a very difficult thing to do. And I don't think sometimes people understand that in their play. And the other thing I said to you at the beginning of the game was this. People don't understand how hard it is to beat this Man City team. Because the way that they suffocate teams in possession, if they've got the ball for 70% of the times and you've got 30% of possession, you have to do something with that 30%. Your margin of error is so small against a team. That's why they have so many clean sheets. Granted, Arsenal are the second most clean sheets in the league with 9. But Man City are at the top. And the reason for that is because they keep the ball for so long that teams don't have a lot of chance to do anything with it. When you get that ball, you better make sure you make something happen. Because if you don't, that could be it for you. And so many weeks we see that. And I think I mentioned before the Brentford game that Manchester City have scored 17 goals in the last 3 games before Brentford. And what I saw today with Arsenal, it was just, was such an amazing game. And I had to force myself not to be angry when I left the stadium because I loved the performance. And we got 2 games with Liverpool.
It was a great performance today.
Yeah.
It's just that in the first half, because we weren't tackling them and we allowed them so much space for them to, do their 1-2 touches, But I mean, that being said, we came into our own from the second half of the first half and we actually matched them with their passing.
G also says, I like what a lot of guys did out there. We outplayed City, but the fan just pet who always costs us again. What this shows me is Xhaka can, on any performance we have at any time. Bookmark, no way we can finish top 4 if Xhaka's playing at the end of the season. I have to agree with that. And I would be stood up to be proven wrong. You know me, guys, I'm humble. If we make top 4 and Xhaka's in the team, I will put my hands up and say, okay, I got it wrong. But my prognosis was it's 5 years and we still ain't learned. Yeah, this guy's still costing us points. And every point is vital. This could have been 3 points today. Instead, it was 0. How important is that going to be at the end of the season? Now we got Spurs breathing down our neck. Spurs, how many games have Spurs got in hand? 3?
2. That 2.
Well, hold on a second. I think they got 3. Let's have a look. Let's have a look here. Hold on a second. So Spurs have 2. Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. They have 2 games in hand, and they're 2 points behind.
Yeah.
So that's and they scored in the 96th minute today. We thought the 93rd minute was bad for Arsenal, but Spurs won in the 96th minute.
And you know who won the game?
No, but they had 10 minutes extra time.
Ref.
Some fan got hurt in this game, so they had 10 minutes. So that's why it was that long.
So look, at the end of the day, I'm here to be corrected. If we get top 4 with Xhaka, I'll be corrected. But that's the way it is. And then he says he does this 2 or 3 times a season. This is just episode 2 in the franchise this year. So in other words, it'll happen again. Stu, good to see you, Stu. Stu says today, Ebtoni of Xhaka 1, he is squared up. 2, legs were crisscrossed. As a result, 3, grabs a handful of his shirt, flatters to deceive, but the same old. Yeah, I agree. I think the problem that Bertram talked about is this. I don't have an issue on the Xhaka penalty. The Xhaka penalty, I had my say, and we can actually take a look at it here. Let's take a look at it. I had my say, but let's take a look at it. No, that's not the Xhaka penalty. That's the Odergaard one. So my issue was I don't have an issue with the Xhaka penalty. I thought the player was already on his way down. However, if you pull the shirt in the box, that's what you're going to get. So I can't argue with that. The only argument I can have is I thought the player was already going down. If Xhaka doesn't touch his shirt, that's not a penalty. It's not a penalty. Yeah. My issue was that the referee went to look at video evidence of Xhaka and changed his mind based on watching it slower. But he didn't do that with Odegaard. The Odegaard penalty, you can see here. I've blown it up as much as I can. Let's blow it up a little bit more. You can see here.
Foot. Look at Alisson's foot.
You can see here, Odegaard's foot clearly touches the ball, and the goalie is late, and the goalkeeper's foot touches Odegaard's foot. So if the referee would have seen this in the same manner as he did with Man City's penalty, he would have awarded Arsenal with a penalty.
Yeah, but where was VAR? Where was VAR?
There was no VAR.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They didn't ask the referee to take a look at it in the same way that with the other decision. The other decision, he was able to see Xhaka, everything slowed down, Xhaka put in his shirt. He was able to take a second look and then change his mind. With this decision, it was made by VAR and not the referee. The referee was not invited to come and take a second look at Odegaard, which is why they crossed it off. Had the referee had gone in, seen it slow down, seen that Odegaard had made contact with the ball first, and then the goalie made contact with Odegaard, it would have been a penalty to Arsenal. Now, these are the fine margins that we see in the game. And unfortunately, this is why that the fans are going crazy. They can talk about Xhaka all they like. Xhaka's going to do Xhaka. Yeah, we can't change that. But had this was the problem right here for me. And that's where I think the referee started to lose the game, because the fans knew it, the players knew it, and it just got their rag up. And I turned around to Ebony and I said, we're going to capitulate because this is the youngest team in the league. Emotionally, we don't have a way around of dealing with that. And the players, they lost their rag.
I don't think that the players capitulated at all. I think that, I think they just got on with it afterwards. Whether they saw, and you could see that the players saw Alisson do what he did against Odegaard, and you could see the players going around the ref saying, what the hell is going on? How can it not be a penalty? The players were angry, but usually, it's like when something like this happens, when we go behind, yes, we have capitulated and we've just lost our heads, but not this time. Not this time.
So before we go into the actual player ratings, just a couple of things that I wanted to cover here as well. So unfortunately, this is the ugly side of Arsenal. Arsenal have become the first Premier League side in history to receive 100 red cards.
Woo!
Yeah, I know. It's a problem. And unfortunately, what we have to look at is how many times is this costing us? How much points per season are we losing because we're down 10 men? Now, it might not look like much in one game, but when you add it up over a concession of seasons or season, it starts to pay off. And it's little fine margins like this. When you get to the end of the season and you realize you've not made the top 4 because of 1 point or 2 points or 3 points, then you have to look at things like this and being an issue. Now, Mikel Arteta has to deal with this. And unfortunately, the Xhaka thing is the Xhaka thing. But you can't inbred that into a young group of players. You can't do that. You just can't do it. And the amount of, let's take a look. I have a stat here. Here we go. Now, Xhaka has had 47 yellow cards.
In 5 years.
Bertram, that's a rate. That's a rate of 1 yellow card in every 3.6 games for Xhaka.
He's playing the center of the park. They should get yellow. The question is, does yellow cards hurt his team? That's the question.
Yeah.
But Man City should get much more yellow. They always stop the play by tripping you, holding you slightly, just disrupt your flow to start the play over. We don't do enough of that. But Xhaka yellows are normally not. How many reds does he have? He knew that. Look, Apollo, when we bought him, we knew this, right? Yeah. He was the worst in Germany when we bought him.
Western Europe.
Those areas, so it's not a surprise. As we say, slower foot, so that affects his ability to recover. So that's part of his challenge.
And Gabriel says he's actually gone on Twitter and he said, hard to accept it, but only God knows everything. Proud to be a part of this team. Amazing spirit. This is my pick. Him and Odegaard's my pick for captain, by the way. They says, we will keep working together, fighting until the end. For this team, I will run until I die. Let's keep improving in 2022. So that's a very...
So I was just adding up you're talking about what City has on the field. I'm just adding up our market value in transfer market, and it's about 400 mil. So I'm not complaining, and that doesn't include ESR or Tavares or Lokongo in that number. The starting 11 today was 400 mil, and that was a Lacazette with less than half his value currently. So we're not in bad shape. Our market value would be like, oh my God, it's horrible.
But Bertram, Saka takes up nearly 25% of that.
No, he's 71 on transfer. I know people say he's 101. On transfer market, he's 71. And they have Smith Rowe at 40 something, which may be less. Odegaard at 46, which may be more. You could balance it out, but just say approximately 400 mil, which is a big number, Frank.
Yeah, transfer market is very undervalued. They have Dominic Calvert-Lewin at 23 million.
They're conservative, but
they are very
that even helps the number, right?
Yeah.
Historically, and as I said, doesn't include Smith Rowe, doesn't include Abba, doesn't include Tavares, doesn't include Pepe. That's just the 11 that started today, which give you a view as to direction of travel, actually.
I think I showed you and Tony about last season what the agents transfer market was. That's when, because Tony asked me, he said, how did you know he was valued at 96 million euros? In fact, it was euros, not pounds. And then I showed you guys the list, and it was actually the list of the top 10 brightest, youngest players in Europe as well. And Saka was third on that list at 96 million euros. So yeah, if anybody wants to buy Saka, you're talking Grealish money. Yeah, you're talking Grealish money. I think Bertram's video was frozen up there. So the last thing that I'll do is look at the points. Where's the points? Here we go. So Bertram is still frozen up there for a second. So guys, this is the whole calendar year, I know we talked about Arsenal were had the third most points in the calendar year of 2021, but now this is official because we can take, 2021 has gone, so we know exactly how much has been played. So what's actually happened here is Arsenal, due to the fact of going through the whole calendar year and points-wise, we can see here 76 points. Arsenal in the year of 2021 have 1 point more than Manchester United and just 1 point less than Liverpool. So by all accounts, if we was to take the whole season, I know it doesn't work that way, but I'm talking about two halves of last season and the first half of this season, yeah? So if we take that into account throughout a full season, Arsenal are capable of coming in the top four.
Yeah, but will it happen if Xhaka's playing?
That's difficult to say because Xhaka missed a lot of games with what was going on with these stats. He missed a hell of a lot of games. We know on the back end of last season, he missed like 7 games where Arsenal won 6 and drawed 1. And then he played in the first 3 games this season. We lost all those games.
So that just goes to show that we can actually play better without him.
Well, yeah, because after Norwich, when we started winning, I believe it was G that was talking about it. 11 of our first 12 wins this season was without Xhaka. The only time Xhaka was in the team, I think it was a Spurs game. But outside of that, I believe it was the only one. What's going on, Mr. Bungle? Yeah, I'm gutted about the result, man, but I think everybody saw what the team's capable of doing, and that's what the benefit is today. As Stu says, yeah, but the FA refs are eagers, unlike rugby, tennis, and cricket officials. They never want to own up to the errors. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Dan says, not sure how much control he actually had, but what did you make of Struvic? He came across posts. Yeah, I like, we call him Headphones Albert, don't we? I like him. I think he was as animated as Arteta, which I didn't think was going to happen. My concern was, I know that Arteta is very animated because this team is not a well-oiled machine. They still have to be managed on the pitch. And a lot of what Arteta does on the sideline is managing these players on the pitch. And if the shape starts going wrong, if it's not tight enough, if the back line is not in sync with the midfield, he makes sure that all those things are at a level to stop teams from finding holes in our play. And I thought that Headphones Albert did a good job of that today. They did an excellent job. And of course, they talked to Arteta at halftime. And, and it's the same as always. Once you give your instructions, you do your tactics and everything else, it's down to the players. Once the players cross that white line, it's down to them to play the game. It's not down to the manager anymore. And I think that the players are slowly starting to get it. They're all buying in to what Arteta's doing, and that is the basics. But we're comparing them to a team like Man City, who already have done that with Guardiola years ago. Man City are so well-oiled and so are Liverpool that they don't even need tactics anymore because they know what to do. They know what's expected of them. They know if they don't do it, they're dropped. And I think that that's important. We haven't got there yet. We're still in a situation where we're in our transition. And it's going to take time. And I think I've been saying that for the first few months of the season, that this is going to be a process. It's going to take a bit of time. But once we start getting there, and right now things are looking good because we're starting to become more adaptive to what we're doing. We're not being reactive. Now, reactive is when a manager says, this is what you should be doing, go out there and do it. A few of the players on the pitch, especially like the likes of Martin Odergaard, Yasu, Gabriel, the goalkeeper as well, in terms of playing out the back. I mean, I would love to be in a room where Gabriel is doing a one-to-one with Arteta and they're sitting in the film room and they're looking at footage with Peter Cech and they're looking at footage with Bernd Leno trying to play the ball out the back. I mean, Aaron Ramsdale must be rolling over in laughter saying, you guys had these guys for a couple of years? How did you manage? Because he's such a weapon. But let me bring that into the player ratings. Let's talk about the ratings now. So, Ramsdale. I need to explain my Ramsdale rating because some of you lot probably thought, what are you talking about, Apollo? Ramsdale didn't do anything in the game. He had very little saves to make. And why are you giving him an 8? So I'll tell you why I'm giving him an 8. Because he didn't make much saves. But what he did is he came out for some set pieces as well. Especially when City was trying to win the game near the end, they had 3 free kicks, and what Ramsdale did in terms of coming out for the box and not punching it away, but catching the ball, and he took that option away from Man City. He didn't allow them to get the ability to get their head on the ball, and that's vital. Because you are being an extra man. You remember your centre-backs' jobs is to man-mark these guys, zonal marking. It's their jobs to make sure these guys don't get a head on the ball. But when your goalkeeper becomes a part of that, it makes it extremely difficult because unlike the other players, he's allowed to use his hands. And not all 3 of them, but 2 of them were crucial in terms of us keeping possession of the ball. And I like the way after when he caught it, he just lays on the ball flat, looks around and says, I'm staying here for a minute. Yeah, he was tempting the referee to book him with a yellow card. And he was in his rights to do that because we were trying to run the clock. But the biggest reason why he gets an 8 is because of his distribution. Wow. Today, if you're a young player and you're a young goalkeeper, remember this guy's 23. This guy's 23 years old. If you want to train someone in terms of having the ability to play the ball out of the back, you need to show them this game. His passes into Saka and Martinelli were outstanding. They were exceptional. And it was one of the reasons why Manchester City could not press us in our own half. Yeah, there was times when they had Mahrez, they had Sterling, and they had De Bruyne sort of push up in trying to press us, and he just goes over their head. He goes over the midfield with some weight. I mean, he created 4 chances today. How many times have you seen a goalkeeper create 4 chances in one game? I mean, he's an absolute weapon. And the fact that Man City could not press us playing out of the back because of this guy speaks volumes. Think about that for a second. That speaks volumes. That one sentence says it all. Tomiyasu, I'm going to give an 8. I haven't got Tomiyasu's name down there. Sorry, that's my fault. I don't know why Tommy's not down there. Hold on a second. Let me change it. No, I'm going to give him an 8.5. Right. Tomiyasu gets an 8.5. Now, today you guys heard me say on Twitter and in the forum on the game thread that Tomiyasu just showed Raheem Sterling who's the best defensive right back in the league. And I want to say defensive first before right back, because when I talked to the guys on Friday night forum about he's the best in the league, they all started throwing Trent Alexander and all these silly names at me. And I'm just like, yeah, those guys are great going forward, but none of them defend like this guy. So I'm going to say he's the best defensive right back in the league so I can cover my ass. Yeah, I can cover my backside if I can put defensive before right back. You show me a better defensive right back in the league than this guy. He wrapped up Sterling like I ain't seen anybody wrap him up since Maitland-Niles a couple of seasons back. And he times his tackles so well. And he never gets ragged or dragged out of position. He angles his body so well that even if someone tries to get a step on him, and remember, he's 2-footed. So the angles, this guy plays the angles better than any defender that I've seen. You can't get a step on him. He's always on you. He's just a weapon. I can't believe this guy's what? He's 22? This guy's 22 years old. I mean, how did he go under the radar? The fact that when he was in Italy, he outplayed Ronaldo for 2 games last season and nobody better than Ireland. How did that go under the radar and this guy ended up getting sold for 18 million? Sorry, guys, you look at Wan-Bissaka and all them guys, 50 million, 60 million. How does this guy get under the radar after what he did to Ronaldo last season? Astonishing. Ben White, I'm going to give him a 7.5. I thought he was great in recovery, and that's really where he stood out today. Possessional play I thought was okay. Some of his passes was great out of the backfield, but I didn't think his long passes connected that well. He had one that beat Man City's trap, but I thought he was a little bit loose with a few of the passes, which I mentioned to Ebony. Now, I'm going to give Gabriel a 5. Now, I know some of you might be giving him a 4, or some of you might be very controversial, but I want to say, guys, before the red card, he was on his way to earning an 8 or a 9. He was tremendous managing the defense. Remember, he manages the defense now. Yeah. He kept those tight distances between other defenders and himself. He never looked like being beaten 1-on-1. It was a silly yellow card for kicking the turf of the penalty spot. It's just silly. And I look, me and Bertram have got this thing about him being reckless last season and him not being reckless this season. And while this wasn't a challenge, it wasn't a reckless challenge, but it was a reckless thing to do. So this is going to have to go down on his CV. Yeah, his resume is going to have to carry this. He's going to have to learn from it. His captain, Lacazette, and his manager Arteta is going to have to point this out as something that you cannot do. You cannot give the referee ammunition to use against you at this level. You can't do it. So I'm going to give him a 5, guys. I'm going to be as fair can be. Because if this was anybody else, like Xhaka, who got sent off red carded, or anybody else, we'd be chastising them. The fact that he had a tremendous game today and made a silly mistake, sorry, I have to give him a 5. Tierney, I thought he ran Cancelo off the park today. I really did. I thought he delivered 4 or 5 crosses in of quality. Somebody like Vardy would be proud of. But time and time again, we had nobody in the middle trying to get on the end of it. That was so frustrating to do. You do all that work. I don't think sometimes people realize against a team like Man City, how much work you have to do from the goalkeeper to a position on the left to actually play a ball inside the box. That's a lot of work, guys. That's a lot of build-up play. And to deliver a quality ball in the box and have nobody on the end of it, that's frustrating. So, and then again, a great assist today, absolutely pinpoint assist today. I'm going to give him an 8. And for weeks I've been saying he's not back to 100% yet. Today I can say he's back to 100%. I still like Tavares, but Tierney is turning it on now. He's getting assists. I think this is his 3rd assist in his last 5 games or 4 games, and he's starting to really turn it on. And that's what you want. If he's doing his job, we can't complain. And let me come to my man of the match now, Thomas Partey. I can't believe that today, I said this to Ebony, I can't believe that today's the day he's put in the best performance by an Arsenal midfielder of this season a day before he leaves to go to Ghana for training. I cannot believe it. He dominated the central defense. He dominated it. His ball playing, his gap control, his pressing, his drills, his physicality, which I thought in the previous weeks, when remember I've been giving him 6.5, and I've been giving him that because he's looked tidy on the ball. He hasn't been loose in possession. He hasn't given the ball away. He was doing a lot of that in the beginning of the season. He cut that out of his game. And I kept saying all he has to do now is become a physical presence. Today, he was a physical presence. He was the full total package. I can't remember him making one mistake today. And defending with 10 men, he still managed to get forward when possible. Still. And he took Kevin De Bruyne completely out of the game. At one time, I see Kevin De Bruyne just give up. He's like, look, I can't get past this guy. Every time I want to pass the ball to Sterling, he's, the gap play from Partey meant that he couldn't get the ball delivered there. And then that hence forced City to go in a different direction with the ball. It's set for forward. And we really nullified a lot of what they did today, and it was due to Partey. Martin Odergaard, a 9. Odegaard is the man behind the machine. He's the glue that puts it all together. And he's also in charge of the team's pressing. Again, I say it because I don't think that everybody's aware of it. He's in charge of the press and go. Yeah, he gives the instructions. And I was watching a replay on Saka's goal, which is what I said to Bertram earlier. It was Odegaard that dragged 2 defenders away with his runs that created the space for Saka. He's passing in triangles with his speed of thought. 2 touches is the maximum he takes. The maximum. Such as how quickly he moves the ball forward in transition. And he's just, the way he runs into space and picks the ball up like Mesut Ozil does. I can't say enough good words about him. It's a shame that he had to be taken off today because there was a red card. That's the only reason why he came off the pitch. And it was a real shame because we could have done with him towards the end of the game. Saka, 9. So teams have caught on to Saka now. Teams have been listening to Bertrand. They've caught on to Saka. They know what he can do. And they've been throwing double teams at him. Triple sometimes, I get it. But those are the Brightons, the Norwiches, the Watfords, those are those teams, the Southamptons. Those are the teams that have been doing it. When Manchester City does it, that's a sign of respect for the young kid. When they do it, that's when you know that this player has arrived. Because Guardiola made it a thing to stop this guy right on the ball, making progress, moving forward. This guy has got the respect of the league at his hands. But yet it doesn't stop him. We see him taking on 2 players. One time, me and Ebony was killing ourselves laughing because he was triple teamed and he managed to get the ball past all 3 players and run into the box. When I saw that, I was like, what he did to Nathan Ake today. Nathan Ake right now is in hospital getting treatment. He's mentally bruised. He's physically dominated. And that was all Saka. Saka just rinsed him. And I can't talk enough about it. My biggest issue with him is, Bertrand talks about the goals. I talk about the lack of clinical finishing from him because he keeps hitting the ball into the middle of the net. Lately, he's been putting the ball bottom left corner, bottom right corner, and the goalkeepers don't have a chance. Today, we saw another thing. We saw another goal of him being clinical. And when you're hitting the bottom corner of the nets, you're just taking your opportunities really well. And that's the difference, guys, between scoring and not scoring. And he's doing that now. It's almost like what Smith Rowe has been doing. He's just caught onto it. And whether that's a training thing or not, I don't know. But whatever Arteta's done, he's developed this kid. And he's nearing the finished article right now. And that is a scary thought that this guy can get better. And I'll tell you why. Because he's already had more assists than anybody in the team over the last 2 seasons. If he starts to add goals to his game, you have somebody who's tremendously talented on the world scale. On the world scale, guys. Lacazette 7.5, I'm not going to say too much about him. I thought he had an okay game, and I thought he did a lot to drag players out of the pivot as well. He did a lot of disruption in his play. He also pushed up when Man City was playing the ball out the back. He took their pivot man out and forced Man City to go wide. I've seen Arteta use this tactic before many times. And you can tell because when the ball's being played out, Lacazette will be deeper than normal. And if he's not, then that's the tactics they're playing, and they did it today. Very easy to spot out. It only takes you a couple of minutes to figure that out. And that's what he's doing. It means he's not as involved because he's playing a hidden role, but it does also mean that the younger players around him can thrive. Those guys do not get the space to attack, and if he doesn't do his job. Yeah. Martinelli, 8.5, ripped Cancelo to pieces. Just a force in interlink play. And listen, he's always. I think out of every player on the field, he covers more ground than anybody else. He's hit the post, I know, and that's a shame because it probably would have got a 9 if he scores. Mind you, he probably would have. He'd had more than a 9. But for me, guys, Arsenal win this game if he gets the ball into the back of the net. But what's impressing me the most is defensively. He seems to just have the knack to come back, win tackles, and he's doing it every single game. And the only person I see doing that in the front line is Nketiah. And this guy, I can't talk about Nketiah anymore because this guy's doing that defensive work. He's got that energy that Nketiah's got. So if Nketiah goes, I don't feel bad anymore. Yeah? You know, remember we all talked about here on the panel that we need someone who's got the work rate of Nketiah, the defensive aptitude of Nketiah, the goals of Aubameyang, and the hold-up play of Lacazette. That's the perfect striker. Is that Balogun? No. Is that Martinelli? It could be. It could be. For the first time, I'm actually going to say it could be. And what I would love to see from this team is Man City have shown how it can work with a false 9. I can see Lacazette leaving or going and Martinelli fulfilling that role and Smith Rowe going on the left. If that's what we do, I would be fine with that. We don't have to. We can go out and spend 50 million on a striker. I don't mind. But if next season we start with Saka on the right, Odegaard at the 10, Martinelli at the anchor, and Smith Rowe on the left, I wouldn't begrudge it. Because it's worked. Look, it's working for Man City. You can't be pissing all over false nine. You can't say it don't work, because Man City are showing with the right players, it works. And everybody laughing at Arteta trying to do it with Pepe. It don't work with Pepe. Maybe it might work in a different combination, but it didn't work when you tried it. So I think moving forward, today I actually saw something develop in front of me, that we could play a false nine if we implement Martinelli at the point. So moving on to Arteta, I'm going to give him a 9. I should, in fact, you know what? I'm going to give him a 9.5. He could not have planned this game. Forget it. I'm going to give him a 10. But the only reason why I didn't want to give him a 10 is because he didn't win the game. So you know what? Let me just keep it at 9.5. Yeah? Now, 9.5. You could not manage this game any more perfectly than he did. The team sets itself, but it's the formation and it's the tactics. Tactically, he outsmarted Pep today. He did. And Pep didn't have an answer for him. He didn't. He gave Man City no forced errors. He gave them no opportunity. Yeah, it limited Manchester City's time as a whole. And it led to the fact that we were dominating the game. And we had the better chances. And it's a shame because, yes, there's a red card. Yes, there's a penalty given away. Yes, there was a ball hit in the post. But you know what? That has nothing to do with Arteta. That has nothing to do with Arteta. So those are my ratings, guys. Ebony, you got the conch.
Okay. Ramsdale, the penalty he couldn't do anything about. The goal that they scored at the end, not his fault. That's more of a defensive error. But when he was called out, his distribution, I say this all the time, and this is why he's now my fiance. His distribution is on point, and the way you saw him today command his line. You saw the way he controlled his box. You saw him captain material. He commands his area. He's telling people what he wants to do. He's shouting at people saying, you stay there, you do this, you do that. And that's what you want in a goalkeeper. And the fact that, he doesn't do what Leno does and punches it out, there are times when he hardly punches it out. It's more of a catch and when he catches, his throwing is immense. Everything about him is on point. I'm going to give him an 8. Tommy Yasu, I'm going to give a 8 as well. He had Sterling in his pocket today. The way he, every single time Sterling got the ball. I mean, there was one point where, Sterling slipped past him, but every single time otherwise, every single time, Sterling got the ball, we're shouting, he's your man, Tommy. And he dealt with him. And I don't think Sterling was expecting that at all. I think Sterling just, he thought he'd come along and do what he normally does. So I'm going to give him an 8. I mean, I keep saying this all the time. He's doing what Bellerin couldn't do, and that is control his side of the pitch. So I'm going to give him an 8. White, yeah, I'll give him a 7. Why do I give him a 7? Some of his passing was great. I thought there were points where he was lackadaisical, so I give him a 7. Gabriel, up until he got the red card, he was a bit better than White. I thought he controlled the back, that centre back, and then he went and did what he had to do. So I'm going to I'll give him a 4. Sorry. Tierney, I'm going to give him a 6. When he went forward, he was great. There were points in the first half where he didn't get a touch on the ball at all. Xhaka, he gets a 3. How many times do we have to say the same thing about Xhaka? You know, this is possibly the 10th penalty in which he's given away in his Arsenal career. He's got to go. I don't think he played well. I thought he was slow. The fact that, you know, he holds onto the ball for far too long. Somebody needs to remind him that this isn't the German league where you get so much time on the ball. I don't think he played well at all. He gets a 4. Partey, I'll give an 8. If it wasn't for Partey, Xhaka would have actually gotten a lot lower. I thought his passing was immense. I thought he bossed the midfield. There were certain players that couldn't deal with him, so he gets an 8. Saka, he gets an 8. Took his goal well. Yes, he had some wasteful chances, but, you know, I'll put that down to him being young. And, you know, he's got time to grow. So he gets an 8. Odegaard, he gets an 8. Again, he bossed the midfield. His passing was on point. Martinelli, he'd have gotten a 10 if he'd have scored those 2 goals. I mean, the first of the 2 almost went to the bottom right of the first goal that he could have got. It was one of those curling, you know when the ball curls past the goal, and it almost went in. It should have been a goal. The second goal that he could have scored, bottom right, and again, you know, he's one of these players that they didn't know what to do when he got the ball. He's running, you know, he's always running, he's always moving. He covered practically every blade of grass. So he gets, I'll give him a 9. Lacazette, for me, he was quiet today. So I'm going to give him a 7. Arteta, I thought with the exception of Xhaka, I thought he got the tactics right. Maybe not so much in the first half of the first half wasn't down to him, and, you know, it's not his fault that you know, we were not closing them down. We gave him too much space in the first half. But that's not his fault. But for his tactics alone, and also the lineup, I'll give him an 8. I think had he not chosen Xhaka today, and he had Sambi, which unfortunately he has COVID, he'd have probably gotten a 10. That's me.
Excellent. So let me just go and get something before I go to Bertram. Let me quickly get Vincey's. Where's Vincey? Here we go. Right, I've got Vincey's here. Right, let me just bring up Vincey's, guys, for a second. Let me quickly do this. See if that works. Yeah, here we go. Right, this is Vincey. So Vincey's gone with Ramsdale 6, Tierney 7, Gabriel 5, Ben White 7.9. I love these 0.9s. Tomiyasu 8.5, Partey 8.5, Xhaka 5, Odegaard 7.5. Those are very, very conservative grades, Vincey. Saka 8.4, Martinelli 7.5, Laka 7.8. But he's actually given Arteta a 10. And he's given the substitute coach a 10 as well, Headphones Albert. He's given him a 10 as well. So big respect to that. G, got some from G here. G's gone Ramsdale 7.5, Tomiyasu 8, White 7, Gabriel 4. He's given Gabriel a 4. Tierney 8, Xhaka 3, Partey gets a 10. Wow, Partey gets a 10. I can't. I mean, I gave him a 9.5, didn't I? Okay, yeah, so I can't argue with that. Saka gets a 9, Odegaard a 9, Martinelli an 8, Lacazette gets a 6. It's a bit harsh on Lacazette. Arteta gets a 10, and he says Arteta in. I'm sold on the manager, dude. He's directed it towards Ken. But CJ says these ratings are very high considering loss. No, these ratings are very high considering we outplayed the best team in the league, who were the champions. I think what we have. I think. Look, let's take some perspective here. Perspective is always a wonderful thing. Man City have had 11 wins in a row. They've had 7 wins away wins in a row. They're an unstoppable force right now. They're rolling over teams. It's not even. It's actually boring for their fans. It's boring for their fans. They're so good that it's become so easy for these guys. And when I went outside the stadium, the first thing I did is I went to talk to some of their fans, and they turned around and they said, we cannot believe that you guys have got the youngest team in the league and you did this to us. They said they hadn't been happy with winning in so long because no team has frankly given them a match. And they said to me, you guys gave us a match. And not only did we give a match, they thought that we were the better team and we should have won the game. That's coming from a bunch of their fans that I talked to outside the Emirates. It wasn't that with look. I don't normally agree with Bertrand when Bertrand says we have to take the performance away from the result, because I believe the result is everything. But I do agree with Bertrand when he talks about we have to look at the performance. And I think in this instance, Bertrand's right. You have to look at the performance. What we did today it cannot be dismissed. It shows a change of culture with Arsenal Football Club. The way we prepare for a game, the mentality of preparation to face a giant. Yeah? Remember, this team normally we've lost on the average of 3.2 goals against this team for the last 9 games. They've had a 3.2 goal gap against Arsenal. When we played them earlier on this season, when they beat us 5-0, it weren't even close. It was the laughing stock. And a lot of that was, as you guys know, didn't have these young players on the team. Didn't have the transfers. It was the Rob Holdings, the Suarez, the Xhakas. Yeah, the team was full of those players.
But can I just say that Man City got help from the ref. I'm not taking anything away from our performance. Our performance, with the exception of the first half, was immense. But they were assisted with decisions by the ref. And so and the fact that we did play them off the park, and that's why I'm not angry at our performance, because our performance was, on point, and we actually matched them. It's just that they got help from the ref. Otherwise, right, they'd have lost today.
Right, here we go. All right, here we go. Let's look at a little bit of transition here. So this was the Man City team. Let me take this off. This was the Man City team that played Arsenal when we lost 5-0. It was Ederson, Walker, Diaz, Laporte, Casillo, Rodri, Odergaard, Bernardo Silva, Jesus, and Torres and Grealish. The Arsenal team was, hold on a second. Okay, I'm going to let Bertrand go have his ratings because he has to go soon. The Arsenal team was Leno, Suarez, Chambers, Holding, Klasnach, Tierney, Smith Rowe, Xhaka, Odegaard, Saka, and Aubameyang. That was a team that got beaten 5-0. So I want you to put that into perspective. And Bertram's always talked about the performance. It wasn't that we lost today, guys. It was the performance. If you play like that against any team in the league, you're going to come out of the game with something. And we should have came out of the game with something today. So I don't agree with that comment. Was it CJ? Yeah, CJ, I don't agree with that comment, bro. Bertram, you got the conch.
So I'm going to contradict myself by saying I don't disagree about performance, but I focus on what we actually did lose. So I have to manage the grading. So let me go through each of these quickly. Ramsdale, he's a 6 because he had nothing to do. His distribution was fine. But in the first half, he missed. He was in no man's land for the Diaz header, which should have scored, by the way. That was a big miss on his part in terms of where he was. And that should have been 1-0 to them, frankly. Yeah. And for the rest of the game, he got how many shots they have on target? The minimum amount of shots. So he didn't have to work hard. His distribution was fine. He does cover his areas really well. He does provide a physical presence. But I gave him a 6 because he didn't have a lot of work. I gave Yasu an 8. I think he's an exceptional right back. I think he's a very smart right back. He has a very great footballing brain, frankly. He positioned himself well. He's very good in the air. Not the best going forward, but good enough going forward, actually. And is really out of position, which is essential to ensure you don't get beat behind. Even today, Sterling tried to go behind him. A couple times the ball went out of bounds. But I thought he positioned himself well, prevent Sterling from getting behind him. I'll go and buy him, which is hard to do, as you've said, Apollo. So I gave him an 8. Ben White, I gave a 7. Thought he played well. I don't think Ben White or Gabriel had a ton to do, given how City attacked. Because they don't have a number 9 to really put a lot of pressure on you. They a lot of mobility in their team between Jesus, between Sterling, between De Bruyne, between Silva, Mahrez. Even though they may stay in their position, sometimes they interchange. So I don't think our 2 center backs, and they were well protected by Partey, Franklin, and Xhaka, which helped them quite a bit. So I gave him a 7. I gave Gabriel a 6. I know he's been totally destroyed by the second yellow. I think the first yellow was stupid, but I'm rating him based on how he played, not necessarily the mistake he made, actually. And while he was on the field, he was a presence. And even when Xhaka got that card, the hold for the penalty, if you watch in the box who we had in the box, we had a lot of presence in the box. And he was coming over to cover. Maybe you should have shouted to Xhaka that you have help or something. But I gave him a 6. And his grade is affected by, obviously, him getting the second yellow. I gave Tierney a 7. Now, Paul and I disagree on Tierney in this sense. And I thought Tierney had more challenge with Mahrez than Yasu had with Sterling. And both goals came from the left side of the field versus the right side of the field. My problem with Tierney is this. We keep saying when he put the ball in the box and there's no one there. But what are you looking at? Even the pass he made that he gave so much laudatory comments for, Odergaard was calling for the ball. That wasn't a Saka ball. That was an Odegaard ball. He misplaced the pass. Saka came in and scored it. My problem with him is he doesn't pick out his teammate well enough in the box when he's trying to square the ball. Yes, he does a good job of going up and down the field. We seem to rotate more with him being more offensive on his side than Yasu's side. Even though I think Yasu got forward sometimes today. But I do have a concern about, if you look at how Tavares play, he's doing not as good defensively. He's much better offensively. And when he squares the ball, he's finding his teammate. Tierney doesn't do that. So I gave Tierney a 7. I thought he played well, but I'm not sure I view people not being in the box being them versus him. Partey gave an 8.5. I think his best game since the Man U game he played last year when he played with El Neni. I thought he did everything right. He looked more like 30 versus 36 that I normally say he is.
He looked about 21 today. Did you see him running down the...
Yeah, he had legs today. He was brilliant in terms of making the right play each time, not holding on the ball too long, holding on long enough, know when to pass immediately or when to hold on to the ball, create space for his teammate, allow him to get into position. So I thought he played really, really well. And it's unfortunate that we won't have him for the Spurs game because we could really use him in that game. Xhaka gave a 6. Now, I know people are going to say he can't get more than a 5. I thought Xhaka played well, except when he has the bloodshot to his head or he gets hit in the head, because that happens almost every single game. May not get yellow in every game or red in every game, but he has a confrontation with someone every single game. It's almost like it's innate to his being. It's how his temperament is. He's not aware enough to realize when he needs to calm down. I'm going to blame the coach for both Gabriel and Xhaka in some respects. Yes, it's an individual, but you have to warn them when they're going on the field. You have to warn them while they're playing. You have to warn them when they come off the field about their temperament. And because this happened multiple times with them. Gabriel may not always get a second yellow, and he's calmed down this year than in prior years, but it's still part of their DNA. So it's you to remind them so they be conscious of it and make sure it doesn't occur and hurt the team like he did today. I gave Odegaard a 7.5. I thought he was in the game at times, but not all the time. Now, they had more of the possession, so that made it difficult. I didn't see him as a 9 today, even though I think he's a conductor, orchestrate the play, but I didn't see him as a 9. I see him as a 7.5. Thought he played well, but I couldn't give him the same grade as Partey or even a point and a half more than we did in Partey. Saka gave an 8. And Saka also had spurts in the game. Very good when we needed him early in the game, when we were really struggling. You're right, he got probably more doubling on his side than on Martinelli's side. And part of it is because Tierney is providing more of an offensive thrust for Martinelli, so he has more help. So Yasu doesn't provide the same amount of going forward, so then you pull the defender with you. But that's how City plays. They press, they try to get you on the sideline. The sideline has a defender, and they come at you in waves, 3 or 4 people, to cut down all the angles. I didn't think Odergaard presented himself enough sometimes, or Yasu, along with Partey. See, if you have 4 people coming at you, if Odegaard is going a little more upfield, you have Partey coming more horizontal, and Yasu coming in a little, providing a pass to go backwards. You have more of an option. I don't think Saka got enough option. What I love about Saka though is he doesn't force the play. He's always thinking the game as to, should I go inside? Should I go outside? Should I pass? And always seems to be making the right decision. And yes, Apollo is now scoring, so I can stop talking about waxing lyrically about him not scoring. I think he has 6 goals and 4 assists this season. At one point, I think he had in 16 games 2 goals, and I was like, that's not acceptable. 14% conversion rate cannot be right. Now he's scoring really, really well. I gave Martinelli a 7. I thought Martinelli was selfish today. So the 2 times where he went down on the left, when he beat his man wide, went by Cancelo, Odegaard was really open to get the ball. He didn't give it to him. The second time, Lacazette was open. Just like how Tierney found Saka, even though I think it was inadvertent, it was a similar construct. You have more chance of scoring in the middle of the goal, and then you can pick right or left, versus scoring from an angle, because it's more of a closed angle, much more difficult. And even though he came close with his shot, I thought, on both times, I thought he was a little bit selfish, actually. And that goal he's missed is not forgivable. Sorry, you're a professional footballer. I don't care if it's your right foot, your toe, your head, your back. There is no way you can miss that goal. It was a wide open goal. He had no pressure. Go watch it again, Apollo. 0 pressure to force him to make the mistake he made. And he even hit the target. He hit the post, the upright. I gave Arteta an 8. Look, no, sorry. Like I said, I gave a 6. I think Laka pressed really hard today. So good on the defensive side, but wasn't in the game as much. That's part of the City. If you're dominating possession, you're playing really wide on the lines, you spread the ball out. When we get the ball, it's hard to get them in the game. And when we don't have the ball, it's hard for them to create errors on their part because they're pretty good with the ball and they also space you out. Hard to reach them. I gave him a 6. I gave Arteta an 8. We all are very happy that we can compete, right? So we didn't win, which is sad, frankly, given how well we played. And we're at home and we've been, very, very good at home, by the way. Very good at home. Second best record, I thought, before today, as it next to, I think it's City. So really good at home. So a little bit disappointing that we lost. And the loss was basically errors on our part. It wasn't that they did something and scored and clearly discombobulated us, penetrated us, split our defense. It was none of that. The second goal was Rob Holding. I remember Sterling scoring a header over him. And I was wondering, are your feet in cement or something where you can't jump? Or is your judgment that poor? Because the ball is coming from a distance. And De Bruyne it wasn't a whipped in cross. It was a lob cross. You have to back up and get enough space to head the ball out. That should not have occurred. It was a lucky bounce that they got to it. But that shouldn't be the case. So those are my grades, Apollo. Look, I thought we did we are very proud of I was here with my nephew, and he's an anti-Arsenal fan. And even he admitted that we should have won the game, which says a lot, given that we got destroyed. When we play Liverpool and City, we basically get destroyed. It's not even close. Once when we had Pepe the first time and he was putting Van Dijk on skates when Emery was here, we looked like we could do something when we went to Liverpool. But apart from that, I can't remember any other time we've been close to them. Apart from Cazorla played and we beat City in their place 2-1. I think when Giroud scored. So I'm very, very proud of the team. But we did lose. But I am encouraged by the performance. And I'm not even taking it to heart. My view is this, which is the future is bright. We spent 150 million. They left starting 11 today was valued at 400 million conservatively. Previously, we would have the Ozil and the Kolasinac and the Socrates, and you're trying to add them up, you get like £2 for all of them combined. And now we can see we have the youngest team in the league, high-priced team, played City well, in the top 4. What's there to complain about?
Yeah, I totally agree. And guys, let's take that down for a second. There we go. And Bertram, I know you've got to run. So, is there anything else you really want to add? Where do we go from here? I think if this is the template for success moving forward, I think it's a good one, because you can only.
I'm concerned about Partey going away. Frankly, I hope Lakanga can cover really well. And then he's gone too. You do need that backup. Maitland-Niles is thinking about going someplace else. So the question for us is, do we go get Sanchez? Do we go ask Kessie to leave Milan and come to us? We give him a lot of money. What are we going to be doing? Because I think Xhaka should be replaced. We have to replace Partey with someone because we have a chance to make top 4. I had us in top 6 or in 6th position. I'll revise that based on the transfer window and what we do in the transfer window. But I do think all Arsenal fans. So when I go on my stream tonight, Apollo, I can have my chest out versus being destroyed about Arsenal. I was on the stream last night for 4 hours, by the way, and I was running the stream. It was painful. Now you might run drive, you talk for 4 hours straight. But I'll say this, which is very proud of the team. Fans should be encouraged. The great thing about our team is they're young and they're good, which is the optimum for success. So
I hear that, man. Yeah, definitely. So before this, I got one last one for Bertram. It says, the G says, Bertram just found out that Xhaka is African, so just got a call up by Niger.
Yeah, well, his temperament. It must be his temperament, because he's a fighter. He always want to fight somebody for some reason. I think his head has been hit. You know, in soccer, in football, you head the ball a lot. You get CTE. He's probably having early stages. He's always angry at somebody. But he's a leader. You notice in the game, Aubameyang. I mean, sorry, he was directing the team. You guys don't realize that he was directing the defense. He was getting angry. He's putting people in position. He's the conductor out there. So I saw, but he's a leader.
Yeah, I saw Odergaard being the conductor out there, and as I said, Gabriel manages the line. So I don't see a lot of Xhaka doing that.
He was doing it. I'm telling you, he was doing it. But and he was getting angry too in some instances.
But I think the bottom line is this, Bertram. It's you can have the greatest intentions in the world. You know that. Yeah. Look, but when you're athletically challenged,
he's limited, right? He's limited. By the way, Apollo, before I go, I watched Basuma the other day. Basuma is quality. Too expensive, but he's quality. Legs, a pass in him, doesn't score as much. Play under pressure. The Basumas, the Sanchez, the Kessies of the world. We have to get one of those players in this window.
So Renato Sanchez has a 25 million euros.
That's chump change for us. We spent 150 in the last window.
Do you pull the trigger on that?
Yes, you pull the trigger. Well, if I can get Frank Kessie for free, even though his wage is going to be high, I'll take him instead of Sanchez. It'd be Kessie. Well, it'd be Basuma, Kessie, Sanchez. Because Basuma's playing the Premier League. I know what he can do. Yeah. Kessie is free. I watch him in the Champions League. Very good. Watch him against Man U. Was outstanding. And Sanchez, even though he failed when he went to where he was in the championship with the Welsh team, he went to Bayern, didn't do well, but he's been playing well. So yeah, I'll take one of those.
And the frustrating thing is, Xhaka, we wanted 20 million from Roma. They wanted him for 17 million. So we could have sold him for 17 and bought Sanchez.
Yeah,
that's chump change.
So here, before I go, let me say this, Apollo. I'm not sure we're missing something. I admit we're missing something. Right? Here's why I say this. Ljungberg, Wenger, Emery, Arteta. They all rate the player. And I'm not going to say I know more than these because they've been doing it for a while and they're good at what they do, right? So we're missing something. I know fans, we all have the eye test. There's the stats and there's the eye test.
Yeah.
I think we have to be missing something because there's almost a consensus he should be replaced, yet they play him and don't want to lose him. So what are we missing?
And we've looked at everything. We've looked at passes going forward, passes into the final third. He's nowhere near in the top team.
Yeah, but I think part of it probably is positioning. I think sometimes, Apollo, the eye test is important, which is when you go look at the tape and you watch your team, even though the stats may not support the player, maybe it's positioning, maybe it's how he moves the ball forward. Who knows what it is, but we must be missing something because All the coaches and managers keep playing him. So we're missing something. But anyway, I do have to run. Ebony,
no problem, bro.
Chris, Happy New Year again, guys.
Happy New Year to you, bro.
Take care.
Nice one. So, guys, that's where we have it for the player ratings. Always like to run a little bit low because we don't have to worry about going over too much. And looking at your comments here, G is talking to Bobby Bournemouth, says, drop Xhaka, that's basically it. We can't beat quality teams with him. Bobby Bournemouth. He's talking to Bobby. No way we can do better than 6 with him. Bobby says, G can do better than Xhaka, but one player won't stop us beating a top team. Well, he stopped us from beating a top team today, Bobby. He stopped us from beating a top team today. And he says Xhaka hasn't put a foot wrong from the Everton game until now. That's a fair point. That's a fair point, though. But see, when I see things like this, it's like I always look back and look at the first 3 games of the season when Xhaka played in those games and we didn't really have anything. And it was, again, the young players coming in from the transfer market making a reil difference for that.
But the thing is that, I mean, like, we could have sold him, like, as I put on the 101 Facebook page, we could have sold him. We could have seen the back of him.
Yeah.
And somebody had this pathetic brainwave. Oh, let's give him a 4-year contract. Let's give him a 4-year extension.
Yeah, I think it was an extension. Yeah, it was an extension. Well, at the end of the day, we got to deal with the hands that are dealt, and we got to carry this guy. That's the unfortunate thing. And
this is why, I say.
And like I said, so I turn a blind eye to it.
For me, he didn't play well. I'm sorry. Maybe there is something that I'm missing. Because he held on to there were points where he was holding on to the ball too much. It's like, just pass it, for crying out loud. Yeah, he thinks he has all the time in the world, and you don't have that time again. You don't have that time against any team in the Premier League.
I mean, it's a harsh one because Bobby has a point. I can't remember him having a horrid game. I know G points out that he's had the lowest player ratings out of all of the players in the last few games. And so I've seen that. And I talked to Daryl Smith about it on the forum. Daryl hasn't come back to me with anything like that. But the proof is in the pudding. I mean, I could leave now and go and look at all the player ratings on BBC, on everywhere else, on Sky and Telegraph, Guardian, and all of that stuff. And I guarantee you that Xhaka will be the lowest, or if not one of the lowest rated players on the pitch. And it's like that every week when I look at it. So, yeah, it's Bertram's right. There must be something that we're missing with this player the eye test, it doesn't show, and the stats don't show it. So what is it with this guy? Well, if it's just the fact that if it's just the fact that his leadership skills, then okay, I'll take that. But then my question is, he's athletically challenged, so he'll regardless whether he's a leader or not, he'll cost you on the pitch.
Yeah, because
he's too slow, doesn't have the movement, doesn't have the range, the pickup skill. He doesn't have that, and he doesn't have here's the most important thing. He doesn't have the calmness under pressure with the ball at his feet. That's the problem.
This is why he holds it. This is why he holds on to it for far too long, because he can't make a decision.
And look, I'm not going to have anything against the player, and so I won't mention his name here, but I will put them together as a group. Yeah, if you look at Xhaka and all of the other players that we have, how many of them will get into any of the top 4 teams? Will Xhaka get into Liverpool? Will he get into Man City? Will he get into Chelsea? Will he get? But when you look at Smith Rowe, when you look at Saka, all them guys are raving about him. When you look at Sambi, statistically, Sambi's been. Let's talk about stats. He's been our best midfielder this season, and they dropped him. He was man of the match in 2 of the last 4 games before you dropped him. When has Xhaka been man of the match? Never. I had this conversation with Daryl today. I looked throughout this whole season, 20 games, and he ain't been man of the match in 1 of them.
Because he's not good enough.
Okay, so saying he's not good enough, which it can be subjective, yeah? So for the people that are saying he's good enough, where's the proof? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying we can be objective in our speaking, and that's fine, and we all have to respect that. If somebody likes a player and another person doesn't, that's fine. because what works for you might not work for me, and we're all grown adults, and we all have to accept that we have a different sort of opinion. And that's why I created 101. That's why we're here. The forum, the YouTube channel, we're all here to give our opinions. But what I'm saying is, when I give an opinion on a player, I back it up with something factual. I have, whether it's a display, whether it's statistics, I back it up. For all of everyone lauding about this player, I've not seen a single person come up to me with stats. One day, I remember some guy showed me this statistic on the Premier League website that has him with the most passes. And I said to the guy, where are those passes going? And when we looked at the strip,
backwards, sideways.
We pulled up another stat that says passes going forward, and he was one of the lowest in the team.
Because it's backwards, sideways. So, it's
I said to this guy,
you're always going to have 100% if it's sideways and backwards.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to make this into a bashing session or anything like that. Yeah. I'm just saying opinions are subjective. But when we're talking about players, let's try and have some tangible information and statistics so we can back these things up, because that makes for a much better discussion. When they're Arsenal players, we back the team, so we want everybody to do well. I want this guy to do well, but when we're talking about players, let's have some factual data so that we can back up what we're talking about. But overall, I'm not happy with the result, and I can't change the result. So that's the reason why I'm just moving on. And moving on is a great thing, because we've got to look forward to 2 games against Liverpool, which again are going to tell us a lot about ourselves. And I'm also looking at the game against Spurs.
Yeah.
How the African Nations Cup will impact us wasn't as important as it was today. Because before today, you could say, I don't mind losing Aubameyang, I don't mind losing Pepe, I don't mind losing El Nene, and I don't mind losing Partey. But after Partey's display...
Yeah, but do you not think today he played like that so that he can be picked for Ghana? I mean, I know he's been picked for Ghana anyway, but what he did today, was it a showcase of, oh, look what I can do and look what I'm gonna do in the tournament?
First of all, guys in the chat, can you tell Ebony what your opinion is on Thomas Partey? That would be fantastic if we heard from you guys. But in my opinion, I think Bertram touched on this. I think that they knew coming into this game, they had the best home record tied with Manchester City. I think that they came into this game knowing that it was like a prize fight. They looked at this game like a prize fight. 2 big heavyweights, both have the best same home record, both in the top 4, both, leaders in the suggestive hunt for Champions League places. And Arsenal came into this game as an informed team. When we got beaten 5-0, we were bottom of the league.
Yeah.
We were dregs. We were scraping the bottom of the barrel. We came into this team as a top team, and we played like a top team. And I think that's what they had, a chip on their shoulder. It was like, we let these guys beat us 5-0. What?
Yeah, I mean, the second half, today's second half, we came at all guns blazing. And I will say it again. If it wasn't for the ref, they would have had no response. They were lucky. Man City were lucky today. They got lucky.
G says, Partey was fantastic today. Excellent stamina, and his passes were really good. I agree with the sentiment that he hasn't been amazing for us so far, but he's been an excellent player, and I hope that we'll start seeing that more now. Kuke says, absolutely sensational today. Don't think you can play a better midfield performance. Shame he has to leave now. Hopefully he stays fit. I think the fitness thing is a big shout, because in the end of last season, when Thomas Partey got fit, he was playing well. He was outstanding. And all the way through preseason as well, he was running things in preseason. And then the injury came. And it's just unfortunate, guys.
He does have a high injury record. That's the thing.
He does, and when he comes back from the injury, it takes him months to get back to full standard. Kieran Tierney, he was injured as well. It's taken him a while to pick it up. But if this is the Thomas Partey that we're going to get from now until the end of the season, then boy, top four is looking competitive.
Well,
but for me,
the fact that he's going to the AFCON, we're gonna the fact that he's going. I mean, it will be what, 3 weeks maximum.
Yeah.
You know, we need cover, and I'm not happy that there is the potential of Ainsley Maitland-Niles going to Roma on loan, because we need him. This is a time now that we need Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and so so if he goes on loan to Roma, or Roma, who we're gonna get? I mean, who do we have right now currently that can actually fill that gap? Sambi, we don't know when he's going to come back, because he'll get over COVID, and then he'll
so Sambi, Niles, and Patino are the only real midfielders that we have, and Xhaka at the team now. There is the option to play Odergaard as holding, which he fits in there for Norway, his national team, of which he's the captain. He can play. His best position is of 10, but he has played as a 6. He can play, but you wouldn't want him to play as a 6 in your team.
No, he's better as a 10.
Exactly, because what you're doing is you're just hindering your team. You're suffocating all the creativity in your team just by one move. Why would you do that? Yeah. He's, this last 2 months, he's created more chances than any player in the league. Why would you take him out of that spot? It's just
leave him as a 10, let him go forward, let him make those runs, rather than be in the middle with Xhaka potentially.
I'll tell you what though. Earlier on in the season, what Arteta did do is he did use Thomas Partey as a single pivot, and he played Smith Rowe. So he just played with more of an attacking team and one pivot. I don't know whether you can do that with Xhaka, because, as I said, Xhaka's athletically challenged. Xhaka wouldn't have the range or the aptitude to sit in front of the back four.
The thing is, he's not athletic, so therefore he's not going to make any runs. It's pointless putting Xhaka there.
Niles could do it. Niles could play in a single pivot. Yeah, he could play in a single pivot.
But then he's going to go out on loan, which I don't think anybody's happy about.
The question is will Sambi my question is, Sambi shows all the attributes that Thomas Partey shows. Can he play in the pivot?
Why not? Because
that to me is an option. However, moving forward, I think all Arsenal will do is play Xhaka and Sambi. That's all they'll do, and we'll have to wait to see how that works out. So far they've been getting away with it, but I mean, who knows? Yeah, who knows? Guys, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate the time that you guys are giving to support the channel. And I don't want you guys to get too down. I don't want you to get too down on the mistakes as well. It's unfortunate that, Xhaka continues to do what he does. It's unfortunate that Gabriel, who's made much improvements in terms of his rashness, we haven't seen him really be rash into the tackles like he was last season. He made a mistake today. The coaching staff will talk to him about it and try and get it corrected, because you cannot give a referee an excuse to send you off, and that's what he did today. I know Martinelli is being sort of rinsed for missing the open goal as well. Look, guys, it just wasn't meant today to be. It just wasn't meant to be today.
If those 2 goals had gone in,
I
know it's hindsight, and I'm not going to get stuck on hindsight, but we could have won today. But I will say it again, Man City got lucky, and they had after the first half they had absolutely no response. Fact.
Yeah.
They had Stuart Atwell on their side today.
You're not going to forget that dude's name, are you, man?
Well,
it's embedded in your soul.
It's on the back of today's program. Yeah.
Oh God. That guy's going to get rinsed by you, man.
He should never officiate another game again. That's how dreadful he is.
It's just so
It's
bad.
like how are you going to watch one team make foul after foul and then watch us make a couple of fouls and get out the yellow card 3 times?
That's a problem. They're going to have to look at that. That's a big problem.
And this is why, and somebody pointed out today, this is why referees from the Premiership did not feature 4 years ago in the World Cup, because that just goes to show how utterly rubbish they actually are.
Yeah, very true. Very true. All right then, guys. Listen, thanks for joining us. Go and spend the rest of the evening with your wonderful families. Hear from me and everybody else at 101 on Arsenal. Wishing you a happy new year. Love, peace, unity to your kids, your family, your neighbors, your friends. And I hope you guys have a good one. And Arsenal, we will be back. And we will be competing for top 4, where even if we're not in pole position with the games played in advance, we have to beat Tottenham. And right now, Tottenham are getting the rub of the green. They're getting all the luck at the moment. So we have to take them down a peg. That game is so crucial that we have to start to take the metal to Tottenham. We have to put them under pressure. So I'll speak to you guys later, man. Have a good one, everybody.
Peace. Happy New Year.